I have a couple things to report on.
Go for it.
I don't know where I came in on the meeting. Anyway, so apparently to get our other 9 hours of time from the Pioneer Valley Planning Commission, Erin has to write another letter because their policy is generally to only fund each program once. And it shouldn't be any trouble because they haven't given us the whole 15 hours, but there's some rigmarole about documentation. So I'm trying to help make that happen. So that those extra 9 hours haven't started yet because we need to get the paperwork.
Can you state, Kate, can you state that again? I'm just trying to take notes.
Yeah.
So the Valley Planning.
We had gotten approval to get 15 hours of the local technical assistance from the Pioneer Valley Planning Commission, but they only had 6 hours to give us in fiscal year 21. But because their policy is also only to fund a program once, we're having to do a little bit of a workaround to get our other 9 hours. They've basically already said it's going to be fine, but we have to, there's some paperwork finagling to be done.
Okay, so there's 9 hours left. Is that right? Do I have
Yeah.
that? It's 9 hours left. Okay.
Yeah. During which I think what they would do is hopefully be able to find some, going to do a review of what are other precedents of people who have done interesting reuse of watershed and how that's worked well, so that we have other models to look at.
So I'm saying slightly different scopes for each.
Yeah, the first 6 hours, they really did the, like, let's do the legal review of what's legally allowable. And now they're going to be doing a search for other models. So that's one thing. The second thing is that I told Sue Ellen that I would be willing to be the compiler of information about where we would like to publicize for the public meeting. So, you know, here's where we should post it. Here's somebody we should email it to so they can distribute it. Any of those kinds of things. So instead of everybody putting together a separate list, if people have ideas, they could feel free to send it to me, and I'll try to keep one master list of all the places we might send it. And in that regard, I've been doing a little outreach, trying to figure out, and I don't have a lot of final to show for it, but outreach to try to figure out what are, if there are things that might be under our radar that we should make sure we're reaching out to so that we get as broad a representation of responses as possible. One thing that I found out that people might be interested in just regardless is that a number of organizations, and some of the organizations that we've talked to already are involved in this, but it's under the umbrella of a group called Latino Outdoors Western Mass. They're doing a family event at Community Field this weekend.
Saw that.
Great. They're going to be taking people on walks up to Scott Tower, I think, and really trying to encourage folks in the community to get outdoors more and know what the natural resources are. So I have a really busy day on Saturday, but I'm going to try to get there just to talk to the organizers because I think they might be good contacts for us.
Sounds good.
Yeah, that's what I got.
And speaking of that, that slides right into the one other thing I think we need to talk about. And that is the development of some media releases, newspaper stories, something to send to local radio stations, which I have no idea who are or what are. Things that could go down to 22 and 40. I can email directly home to Dave Madsen, whom I've worked with on and off for years, but I don't really have a contact at the other station. So I think what we need to do is find out who the contact ought to be at the other station and how much we can get to them. And those people are people we ought to talk to for their I don't know what you even call them. They each have a program at noontime, I think, during the week, in which they bring people in and sit and talk about a project. And certainly one of us could go sit in with whomever is handling that and talk about the reservoir and what we've been doing and give them the information that we will be having public meetings, both on Zoom and live. As soon as we can set up the dates, they will be sometime in September, and have people watch, I don't know, the City Hall, whatever they call their poster board, and that kind of thing. But anyway, I think we need to do that. And since we aren't going to have to do anything with public meetings during August, I wondered if everybody would consider working on newspaper releases and these lists of places for public announcements and releases to go.
Good idea.
Comments?
Yeah, I mean, I'm working on the list and I'll do compiling for people. I've also talked to Johan Vega at Holyoke Media, and he's a good contact for New England Public Media also, and he would be happy to do something about this with us.
Did he have any ideas?
I didn't pick his brain about other places to publicize, but I think he'd be happy to, feature us on something.
There is a media list in the mayor's office. I've never seen it, but I know it exists.
We should try to get a hold of that and then,
And remember, a couple people mentioned, I know Yoni Glogauer mentioned that, having the mayor's office do a press release for us is usually very effective. Their press releases are picked up. So,
and maybe Yoni has some ideas of other groups. And the planning commission might also, Kate has some ideas of other, like Connecticut River Watershed or whoever, what other active groups there are, maybe Albert.
Well, Connecticut River Watershed is now Connecticut River Conservancy, and their CEO lives next door.
Okay. But it seems like those are the kind of folks that might have an interest. So if we talk to trustees, we talk to Yanni, we talk to, planning commission, they might have, anyway, different ideas.
Well, I think if different people just, as they find things out, as they talk to folks, you could let me know, I've talked to so-and-so, and here are these other ideas they had.
And if Jeff, if you're, working with Yanni on some other things, I don't want to, if you already talked to him, I don't want to, give him a call, but I wouldn't mind giving him a call.
no, I think giving him a call is fine. He is, somebody mentioned they tried to contact him this week. He is on vacation this week. So, but yeah, I think it's worth, he would be fine with that, Marlene, and I don't have a problem at all. Again, he shared that the best method that he has found is using the mayor, releasing press releases through the mayor's office. But I know we want to go beyond that. So, and he may have ideas.
Well, another one would probably be able to use the Holyoke Rose emailing list. And I'm sure they'd put out a memo for us.
Yeah, I'm writing all these things down, and a lot of these folks I have that we're mentioning, I have emails for, but if people know a specific person at a specific agency to get in touch with, they could just, drop me that information and I'll put it
It's
in.
been a
the
long
notes.
time since I knew anybody, anyway, it's been a while since I talked to any of these folks.
One thing I can do too is as I flesh this list out a little, maybe at the next meeting, I can show the list to everybody and people can type in with what they know and what they don't know. I can make it a Google Doc or something that people can type on.
Yeah, I mean, I chaired the Citizens Advisory Committee for, the reservation, but, that was like a long time ago, like a really long time ago, so.
But let me drag you back to the crucial item. Who can write? Hello?
What?
I can write.
I'm talking about newspaper articles, memos. They could be, they could appear on emails.
I can write. I just don't have any current contacts, but I'm happy to write.
Why don't you try writing up newspaper releases and memos aimed at the general public about what's been going on? Because we've got to be able to get the media releases out to the papers we want to see them in. The very end of August, we want them published in time for people to get the information. So if we can prep some news articles and some little memos, even a formal, you are invited to join the Whiting Street Reservoir Committee at a public meeting to discuss the future of the reservoir on such and such a date.
And Sue Ellen, you said 2 meetings. Are we having 2 in-person meetings in various places, or are we
The
having
idea- we were
one
talking
in and
about
one virtual?
One Zoom, one public.
Okay. Do we have a sense of where we would be having the public meeting?
I think if we have a public meeting, it'll probably be in City Hall. If it looks like it's going to be a big meeting, the ballroom works very well. If it looks like it's going to be a smaller meeting, city council space can usually be grabbed if they're not meeting in there with one committee or another. And it's a space that they already know how to get wired up for the kind of video production of the PowerPoint that we would need for the public to see. I frankly have only been to one public meeting down there that spilled out over that room. People just don't seem to want to go out to a public meeting.
We had what I felt like was really pretty robust turnout for the recovery funds. The meeting, what was it, a week ago at the senior center? And it definitely, like, the room wasn't full, but I was pleasantly surprised by how many people came out to a public.
You know, that's a great room, but they do charge for it. And I honestly am looking for a place where there won't be a charge.
Yeah. It's fair.
You know, we've got Terry looking for $500 for secretarial help. I'm not so sure he could come up with $500 more for meeting room space.
Yeah, I mean, City Hall is a perfectly reasonable place to have a city meeting.
You know, I love meetings that have been down at the senior center. Parking is terrific. It's easy for people, but I know they have a fee.
Well, there's adequate parking at City Hall too, it seems.
Yeah, I know Wisteria Hearst has a fee. And I don't know about the churches.
City Hall Central. And it reinforces that it's the city asking for people.
Yeah, exactly.
I think City Hall makes sense.
The other thing is it's going to be much easier to control a meeting on Zoom, but much harder for whoever's managing the Zoom meeting. So that's something we have to remember. We may even want to switch to 2 people meetings rather than 1 virtual.
What
But
do
that's
we,
something we'll have all of August to think about, and think about writing and getting these things out that last week of August. And I mean the beginning of that last week, getting them out to the places we need to send them. Earlier and earlier and earlier is better.
You guys, you're hard to keep up with here. We're going all over the place.
Well, I think a lot of this doesn't even.
Well, you're making decisions on where, I mean, it sounds like we want to use City Hall, and it sounds like, you know, and that conveys the city is asking for your input. So it's important.
well, and when are we, what remains before we can make a decision about where the meeting is, or when the meeting is?
Funding from the city for secretarial help. And that should happen on the 3rd of August. I will be reminding Terry that we need it on the 2nd of August.
So we wouldn't know that at our next scheduled meeting, but we would know it kind of immediately thereafter.
Right, but we can get articles and memos and so forth out and leave a blank space in them. I don't mean out to the public. We can get them out to each other for reading and editing and so forth. So that they're ready to go that last week of August.
Yep. But it sounds like at our second meeting in August, we're making decisions about when the public meeting is, and hopefully finalizing the information.
We made kind of a tentative decision, Kate, on public meeting dates. So we said proposed dates are Tuesday, September 20th and Wednesday, September 30th, or at least those weeks.
I'm sorry, which days?
Right now, it's suggested, and again, at the time, there were only 4 of us sitting here. So Tuesday, September 20th for the first one, and it sounded like Wednesday, September 30 for the second one.
Okay.
Do I have that right? That can't be right. It's 10
Yeah.
days apart. That's not right.
There's
The 21st and
21st and 29th. One's a Tuesday, one's a Wednesday.
21st and 29th. Thank you.
Okay.
I'm looking 21 and 29. Yep.
Fine, September.
Glad we corrected that. Everybody would be there the wrong
21,
night.
29.
No, we haven't talked about our time for these meetings. It's going to be at night probably again, you think?
Well, it's either that or we do them at 5 o'clock.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's kind of at night. For me, it is anyway.
I think
Not
evening
for me till it
meetings are
gets
probably the best, really.
You maybe have one at 5 and maybe one an hour later, maybe, I don't know. Make people get a better chance to come out either way. If we don't have it, you know, we're doing it for 2 hours from 5 to 7 and then maybe 6 to 8. I don't know. I don't know if that makes sense or not.
It seems like you could do the Zoom meeting earlier if somebody, you know.
Well, what we can't do is anything before 5. The state laws with transparency.
Right.
Is that you have things when anybody who wants to could attend them, and that's after work. And they have decided that 5 o'clock is the time. So we're stuck with that. We could probably inch back to 4:30.
You're a scofflaw, Sue Ellen, a rule breaker.
Yeah,
What's wrong with that?
I also tell the occasional fib. When you need to avoid hurting somebody's feelings. So what do you all think? Is there anything else we want to talk about now? Or shall we adjourn to what right now looks to me like the 3rd of August? When we will all who can try it, have tried a hand at writing a news article about the Whiting Street Reservoir Study Committee and the kind of work it's been doing. And the plans to hold a meeting to collect input from the general public.
We can use the PowerPoint presentation, Sue Ellen, to, sort of outline what should be in that article. City council gave us this charge, this is what we're doing, this is what we've done.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a good jumping off place.
So Marlene, you're gonna start that for us?
Sure. Planning, it's a disease. Having logical steps to follow.
Marlene, you are going to re-email that to everyone.
Yes, I'll re-email it. Should I wait until I hear from Dave Conti to make sure he's okay with that one slide?
Nag him to death.
Okay, well, I have voicemail and I have emailed him and voicemailed him, so eventually I'll do it again. I'll do it again tomorrow.
Marlene, at home, I have his cell phone number, but I don't have it with me down here.
Okay, yeah,
But
I just have,
I could get it easy enough from David, my son at the store, if you think you want to do that.
sure, that'd be great, because I'm just leaving messages in the office.
Yeah, I have his cell phone number.
That'd be better.
Okay, I'll do that to you.
Good
If
idea.
I can figure out how to do it from down here.
Can I get it from David?
Yeah, well, I can just call the store in the morning and I have it in my little book at the store, so
Okay,
that's easy enough.
okay.
You're saying, oh, with Dave Moore, yeah, he'd have it too, but yeah, he'd have it on his phone. I don't,
Way.
yeah, but he has his phone with him, so. Either case, I have both their numbers, but I don't have them with me.
Okay, well, we'll wait till we,
Okay,
Marlene hears
Okay.
from you. Then the PowerPoint will go out to everybody. Everybody can take a shot at a news article and a memo to the general public, because we want them to be different. Newspapers particularly are very happy with different stories. So if they all sound really different, then that's a good thing. Oh Lord, something just went in and out of what's left of my head. Oh, how about who would be a spokesperson on television if we are invited to sit down with a commentator?
Dave Moore.
Dave Moore.
He's a good,
Yeah, Dave's a good
Yeah,
idea.
Dave.
How about you?
Yeah.
I like Dave Moore. See, it pays to come to meetings.
there
You
you
make
go.
other people do work.
He would be perfect though.
I think that's a great idea. But Jeff, how about you too?
Well, Jeff would be good too.
Jeff would be good too. He's on mute, so he can't answer.
I'd be glad to do it if called into service. I
Oh,
suspect that Dave has more background, so he would
well,
if I'm well informed, I will.
you know, Dave has on-site stuff. You've got a lot of conservation information. So I think they're two different viewpoints. It would be a good thing maybe if they would do a threesome, commentator and two people. That would really be great.
Yeah, that would be good. It would, yeah. Yep. But either, but so I'm glad to help with that.
Okay. Okay, well, I will email Dave Mattson. And does anybody know anyone at 12?
What's 12?
Channel 12.
Oh, I guess it's 6, isn't it?
Uh,
I'm not sure. That other channel.
Not me.
I'm not sure what you're even talking about. The other channel.
Just media.
Two big TV channels in our area.
Oh,
Yeah,
channel-
NBC and ABC. So Dave Mattson is ABC, right?
I think so.
Who's going to reach out to Dave Mattson?
I will. I've known him for years.
Now, we were talking before about putting photos into the PowerPoint, Marlene. I mentioned I might have gotten cut off there about Albert. If we would like him to do it, I think he'd be very capable of doing that.
Oh, cool. I'll talk to Albert.
Okay.
Yeah, he would probably like to be involved, I think. And I think the more, that probably is worth an ask.
Okay, I will do that.
I mean, and again, he had collected a lot of information for their report of 25 years ago. So I suspect.
And he's very much interested as well, which is also good.
Yep.
And he will also know contacts in different groups as well.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
So I'll ask him who he thinks when I'm talking to him about inserting the photography and stuff into the presentation.
Do we have any idea how much photography you want in there? I mean,
Not a lot, but
not a lot. No.
just enough to make it look
Fluffy.
I don't want a lot because
Fluffy
we
and
wanna
pretty.
be able to show it, give people an idea of what we've been talking about, and then have most of the time during the meeting for their commentary.
Okay.
We're trying to give the public a jumping off place.
So Marlene, are you going to try to write both kind of an article and a press release? I'm just curious.
I'm gonna probably more focus on an article that's, sort of factual.
Well, that's a press release.
Okay,
So the article, I think they're a little different. But I think the press release would probably be just the trimmed down. It would just be the bare bones of the article.
yes.
Just the real bare bones of it.
Somebody's gonna want like what's the story? Like, we need to, so there's this factual, sort of like, we're here, blah, 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 but there's like a story, to tell too. In addition to the factual stuff, there's like
Right. It probably needs some of the history, that's, because it's a story, because you're telling a story. Why is anybody interested? Well, because this is what this place used to be, and this is how important it is to Holyoke now. What did Kate say? The gem, what was it? The gem? No, it was
the jewel of the valley. So maybe Bob Como might have some perspective to add to the story
Well,
that we're
there's,
trying to.
Yeah.
So I'll talk to Albert on pictures and contacts. I'll talk to Bob to see if I can get some background for a story for a, less factual piece of the story, or more, storyish version of instead of facts.
Yeah, he had a couple of good stories on that tour we did, a couple of those little inserted in there, I think would be perfect.
Yep.
Harry, give it a shot.
What?
Writing.
Oh, writing. I'm not sure I'm a writer.
Well, you weren't sure you could handle getting into a meeting on Zoom either.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure I did that. I didn't do that all by.
Well, you've got all those lovely people at the shore.
I do. I do, and every one of them is on their device right now. That's why they're quiet. All 8 of them.
That's a good deal. And Kate, you said you'd take a crack at it too.
Which writing?
Yeah.
I would rather be the person just, why don't I like help with second pass and editing? I feel like there's so much on my plate right now. I'd rather not.
Yeah. And I'm glad to help edit. I'm glad to help edit as well, but I don't have the time to start something from scratch.
I will do 2 things. Or 3 things. I will take a shot at writing something. I will talk to the best writer I know. My bedroom is down the hall from where I'm sitting. And besides being an attorney and having a couple of city chores to do right now, Mimi really writes extraordinarily well. And I'll talk to her. And I will also call Cynthia Simison, who is kind of a friend, and see if they would take a news blurb about the public hearings or public meetings, as well as perhaps a feature story about Whiting Street Reservoir and the committee. Because I think a feature story could go a long way. And then I think maybe we ought to get in touch with Dusty, I can't remember his last name, at the Gazette.
Provided pictures.
And so I may be calling for some of the pictures. Anything else anybody has tonight?
Well, one more time, what was the fellow's name that took us on the tour? Since
Comeau, Comeau.
Robert, is it, I think?
Robert, yeah.
COMOU.
EAU.
EAU. Okay.
Comeau.
And he also provided photographs
Yes.
to you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he had some newspaper photos out of the archives from the library on the 55 flood, the Hurricane Diane.
Yep.
And he also had another couple photos too on something, I forget what they were, but that struck me pretty good there, because those were pretty dramatic photos, but I mean, they were out of a newspaper, so they weren't very clear.
Right.
You know. And he was now just talking about the old roads that were in there, from the Steiger summer home, that the roads went through, and he took a ride there every day or whatever. Remember, and he named a couple of those roads are named after. One's named after him, I guess, but I'm not sure which one it is. So those would be kind of nice.
Right.
That'd also be nice after we get done with all this, to put the names of the roads in the reservoir. This is, you know, the road and this is how it came to be and that kind of stuff.
That's a good part of the story too.
Yeah. I think it's all a good story. And I guess it needs to be written down for, you know, people to see and take it forward from here.
You know, part of that, you know, putting together this, you know, infrastructure or structure for the stakeholders, the partners and everything to communicate, to talk, and developing the shared vision. So all the history and all that stuff should be part of that legacy here.
Yeah.
For why we need to carry this forward.
Yeah, I think we all agree with that.
Yep. And again, once we have a nice longer article, we can glean, we can repurpose it for different, you know, audiences and uses, I think.
Add or subtract from it depending upon where it's going. Yeah.
Yep.
I think the important thing is get it all down, you know, and then we just throw stuff out or bring stuff in and, you know, until we get something that looks, you know, just like the PowerPoint thing. You know, that went a long way from the beginning to the end.
You know, and you know, and all that stuff, you know, that's kind of and you know, and Sue Ellen and I talked about this yesterday, but it's kind of like the frame for what the report of recommendations to the city council is going to look like.
Mhm.
So it's all going to follow this sort of trajectory.
I like it.
Okay, well then I'm back to everybody needs to do some writing because everybody seems to have a little bit more information than you realize is out there. So jot it down. It doesn't have to be Pulitzer Prize prose. We just have to get it ready to put together into what we think is going to be workable.
Okay.
And
Anything else?
Marlene sounded like she already had a outline, which is kind of the presentation, and then we can plug lots of stuff in.
So, does anybody have anything else? Then I'm going to say I'll see you on the 3rd of August.
Okay.
And hopefully we'll have some of this writing done. Everybody will have been back to Kate with items for the media list. And hopefully
Media, but also just like people who would be good distributors.
we'll know what we can do as far as our public meeting dates go.
Great.
Great.
Okay.
Okay. Good night, everybody.
Night, everybody. Have fun vacation, Harry.
Good seeing everybody.
Have
Bye.
fun vacation, Kate.
Thank you.
Bye, you guys.
Wait to
Bye.
see you all in